Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanish World Networks on Single TV channel 250 and 249. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, I am happy that we are back. We had a couple of weeks of no shows, but really, this is something that I really appreciate to do. And I have a very good friend, Lynn. Thank you for connecting with us today. How are you?
Hi, Alejandro. Thank you very much for having me. I'm great. I'm on holidays, as I was saying, so this is a great way to spend an hour.
Awesome. So, really, the program we are going to be talking about something that I believe I want also to listen because I am always I have been somebody that likes perfectionism and that's sometimes stopping me to work on myself. And the other thing that I love about this conversation is Ling is also a high performance coach like myself, and that's something that for me it's really good, and she's a yoga instructor. So I am really looking forward to all the things, how you are mixing things and how you are connecting one area and the other. So really, thank you for being here, Lynn, and and I'm looking forward for what is going to happen today.
My pleasure.
So we always start. I did a little bit of the introduction of who you are, but start with what are you doing? Tell me a little bit more of the current job and the things that you are passionate about that you are doing, and then we're going to go back in your life to start to connect the dots of did you do to believe in yourself to really start to develop the skills that you have right now.
Oh, that's a big question, Alejandro. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm helping mostly women that are at a crossroads in their lives, time to make a transition or maybe to change. It can be from a relationship to maybe career, maybe people who are at a point where their kids are old enough now that they're gone to school and maybe the woman or the man, whoever was taking care of the children, are like, now what? Like, what can I do? And they're a little bit stuck. So I'm helping them transition to their next phase. And what I'm finding is when people later in life, what they start to feel is this perfectionism. So they feel like if things have to be perfect to even start. So I'm helping them move through that. So we have a new group starting next September, and that's what my focus is going to be all in the fall. For now, I'm also focusing a lot on my yoga. So I've really enjoyed starting my yoga classes and my courses and my programs, which when I took my yoga instruction, I had said right off the bat, I am not teaching. So right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm actually instructing yoga. I'm doing some coaching, and I'm really living the type of life that I want to live.
Awesome. So I am curious about this. Like, when you are talking about yoga and high performance, how they connect each other.
Mm. So with yoga, it's really about, for me anyway, way back when I was in the corporate world, a very stressful lifestyle. So my job was wonderful, very much country club type of work, all expenses were paid, license, uh, the car, the telephone. I loved my job. I really did. I loved the position I had. I also had three children, so very hectic, very busy, trying to keep a very healthy marriage, which is also a lot of work. And I had a lot of things going on, and I was just juggling everything and feeling like I was just going through the motions, going through the motions. And I couldn't even get in to like do real workouts because I was too busy or too tired. So yoga became what I like to refer to as my home button. So when you have your computer on and all the tabs are open and you're just like, the computer's barely working, it's still kind of doing what it's supposed to, but it's slower or it freezes. That's how I felt. And yoga just became that home button. I would just get on the mat and I would just forget everything going on. And I allowed myself to forget it just for that time. Because when people told me just forget things, just, let them go, it felt like if I had let them go forever. But in yoga, you learn, you let go of what no longer serves you on the mat. So when I got on the mat, I could just let go of everything going on. I would still do a physical practice, but for my mind, it was just. So from there, yoga really became a big part where I could meditate, I could reflect, and I realized how it really helped me maintain a healthier lifestyle. So that was first, that was yoga. When I left my corporate job, I continued my yoga and took my instructor in yoga. And that was great. I left my corporate job, so that pressure came off, so that stress level came off. But after the honeymoon phase, I realized, oh, it didn't answer all the problems. I thought if I left my job, everything else was going to be just perfect. And for a short little while, it was because I felt a relief. Then I realized that in my beautiful corporate job, what I was really missing, other than the salary, is the personal development part. We used to have personal development days. My company was very good at allowing us to take different seminars where you could reflect and do a lot of personal development. And then I realized I didn't have it. So I turned towards personal development on my own time, my own dime, and realized that just by working with a coach, it helped me to bring what I learned on yoga into my real life. And it really helped me move forward. And from there, I decided to certify to be a coach, just like you are. And it just fits together. It's letting go of what no longer serves you. It's doing the small steps. And when you get confidence with your small step, you can take another one. When you take the power out of the actual pose, which is actually the outcome or the end result, you really put the power in the person, which is also, if you think about it, coaching, right? You let go of the outcome, all of a sudden you can move forward and you can actually try things. And doing the reps, right? In yoga, you do a lot of reps to get better. Same in life. You just do the reps. You try, you fall, you change, you try again, you fall, you change, you make an error, you adjust, and you continue. But the point is to move forward. That's a long answer.
No, and I love the answer. So let me start with, we have Adele writing that she's watching while she's working. So hello, Adele.
Hi, Adele.
That's something that we wanted to say. The other thing, Lynn, I love the answer. And when you connect, but I want to understand a little bit more from your perspective, the perfection part. What was it? How was it when you were in the middle of that? Even in the corporate, or some example that you can give us, like, okay, what was perfectionism for you, to understand what is really what we are talking about?
Yeah. So interestingly, Alejandro, when you talked about doing this conversation, I was talking to a few people and they're like, you're not really a perfectionist. And it's so funny because truly, I'm not a perfectionist in terms of things have to be perfect at the end. I really am not. What I found myself being a perfection at is before starting something, all the conditions had to be perfect. The timing, the environment, where I was, what I'm doing had to be just so before I even started something. Well, I'm going to tell you that 90% of the time I couldn't start, because when do you ever start something that everything is perfect? The right time, the right place, it rarely happens. So once I started to understand that, then I realized, okay, there can't be a perfect time to start. And that just relaxes. And the outcome, it will be what you put into it, right? And the outcome's going to turn out being something, whether you're going to learn from it, whether maybe it will be perfect, who knows, but it's going to bring you something. And once I started to think of it that way, it really opened up a lot of things, such as yoga and teaching yoga. Because like I told you before, I went to my yoga instructor course to learn more. I wanted to perfect my yoga practice, right? I wanted to get it perfect. And when the instructor was telling us about teaching, I'm like, I'm not teaching. I can't teach. I don't know all the perfect poses. I can't teach that. And she said, well, you're never going to teach, because when will you ever get perfect at yoga? It's no such thing. You can practice yoga. You can learn to get better. You can improve. Perfection doesn't belong on the mat. So taking that, I just changed my view of perfectionism.
And what I want to to understand maybe it's some of the struggles or the things that created that perfectionism for you, even when you were. It can be an example in even in the corporate, like when you were like, okay, I want to do this, and you are working and working, and you are working 20 hours per day because you want to have it perfect. How was it?
Yeah. It's you want to produce something that no one will say anything negative about. You're not going to look like if you did something that's not perfect. So the
Mm,
perception of what others feel, um, feeling that it's an identity like about you. So what you produce or the work you put forward, it's all a
mhm.
reflection on who you are.
Well,
So those were all things that were in my head.
well, yeah, and that stops you with everything because if somebody says something, suddenly they're
Yes.
attacking you, not attacking the job or attacking anything, but
Yes.
directly you.
Yes. And I was always brought up, I think this is generational a little bit. It's good, bad, right, wrong, right? So when you put something out, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad in my old way of thinking.
Yeah.
So sometimes not doing anything is on the safe side because if you put something out there, it's either good or bad in my old way of thinking.
Yeah, no, and I believe that's why I am asking you a little bit more deeper on that because maybe we have people that is listening right now that they are suffering that even when without knowing that they are suffering that, or maybe they
Yes.
have an idea, but I don't know. I like to be perfect, and so that's why for me, even the title when we started to talk about this is like breaking free. Like, yes, I want to break free from that. In my world,
Yes.
when I was talking about being perfect. It was that exactly like I have to have the best thing in every single area that I am doing something, even the best girlfriend, like even that
Yes.
those things. Like if you don't have the perfect girlfriend, no, you don't have to do anything. You have to stop. If I can have the best computer, no, I don't buy it because it has to be the best one. So it's always not only about my job, but also the things that I have around me, and that is also creating a lot of stress.
A lot of stress. And I find it stops people in their tracks, right? Like it just paralyzes you sometimes because you can't move forward because of all these beliefs.
Yeah,
Now you have little children, so maybe they're still perfect in your eyes. I have a little bit older kids and they're probably not even listening, so it doesn't matter. But I find that that was helpful because I certainly realized that you can't bring perfect children into the world and you certainly can't bring them up to be perfect either. And that was a big learning for me. That was difficult, right? Like you think you're going to do this and that, and this is going to be the result. And you realize that's not how it works. And that was a big learning.
no, and with what you are talking, it's totally true right now. Even when I am not working into being perfect myself, when I have little ones, it's like I want to help them to be as good as they can. And in that, as good is being perfect. And it's like you don't have to do anything, you have to be clean all the time. And it's like, so it's a thing that we have to be talking all the time with my wife because she has the same thing, like she wants to be perfect
Yes.
also. And it's like, no, let's take out all the pressure from them, and they have to enjoy life. It's okay if they have a lot of mistakes. It's part of life.
Yes. Yes. And like we were talking before, if it paralyzes us as adults to become who we want to be and unleashing and do all those things, imagine what it does to the children or to the teens as they grow up, right? If they feel that, it might stop them from really trying out new things. Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you started to have the awareness of, okay, I have this thing about the perfectionism. What were the things that started to help you to realize, okay, there is another world. I am already perfect and I don't have to change anything. Uh, so like understanding who you are and that you are not the job that you are doing, the thing that you are doing, you are not the comments that people are giving you about anything. What did you do to really realize that, and how was the process?
Hmm. So I did a few things. I mean, it's only reflecting back that I realized that I did that. It was not with
Exactly.
intent at the time. But kind of letting go of what people think of you. Like that was a hard one for me because you want people to like you, of course, and you want them to think that you're smart and you want them to think that you're successful. And why, I don't know, but a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And I am definitely one that was like that. But once you let go of that, or you at least try, and you do it in small, like I would try it in different little areas that weren't big things. And it feels kind of good. And just to go back to my yoga, I was joking before how I cannot sing, and I really cannot sing. Like I can't carry a tune to save my life. And in the yoga instructor course that we took, it's much more than yoga. It's a lot about personal development as well. So that's why I loved it so much. But she made us do something. She made us stand up and sing. And we didn't know. She just told us to come prepared with a song that we were going to do an activity with. So I thought we were going to work on words or lyrics. And what it was we had to stand up, and she had a voice coach there, and they made us sing about 2-3 lines of a song. Alejandro, I thought I was going to throw up. I thought I was going to faint. I thought, I'm not going to do this. So I told her, I said, I can't do that. She said, no one feels like they can. Of course not. But she made us do it. They found a way to get me up there, and I sang like a kid's song in French. It was safe to me. I knew the words, and I could, and I did it. And I can't tell you the feeling of just being up there and having the people there not judge me. They clapped, they were encouraging. I don't sing any better. I didn't sing well before, and I certainly didn't sing there well. But it just gave me that little, it's okay. I didn't die. I didn't fall. I didn't, lose conscious. I was able to continue. Since then, I have that in my mind. It doesn't matter what you do, just little things like that you just let go. I just thought, okay, leave everything on the side and just do the thing. Just do the thing. And when you do little tests like that, you just get a little bit more confident, little by little by little. And that's what I found helped for me. And I find I have 2 clients that are very similar that way. They'll go for a week and they'll just try this small little thing, just like even just reaching out to someone that they want to, talk to, and they're afraid of what they're going to say, or they're afraid of how they're going to respond. And I said, that doesn't matter. You just say what you want. You just talk to them the way that you feel is okay. How they respond, that's out of your hands. And when they come back and tell me how they feel about that, it's just that letting go, what no longer serves you. Let go of the outcome, let go of what the others are going to say or respond. You just say or do the thing and just let go. It's really powerful. And I encourage anyone to try it. Just pick one thing, one tiny little thing. And that's helped me along the way. There's so many scary things I've done since then that I would have never, ever imagined trying, just by trying and letting go of what the outcome or what other people will say or do.
So, and really the first step is the most difficult and most important one, because when you start to realize, like, okay, nothing happens and it's okay. Even for myself, was even this program is like, how I am going to be talking even in English. I don't want to hear people, my accent in the English. I don't want to hear like all the things that I'm doing, and it's like, it's okay. It's like I am giving myself out, and I am bringing people like you to help understand how they can become better, how they can realize that the belief that they have that is stopping them is really a belief that is not limiting them, is not helping them
Right.
to become who they are supposed to be.
That's right.
And that's where really the magic starts to happen. And so when you're talking about those little things, where do you recommend to start? Is to recommend to start, okay, little things. How do
Just
you
go sing in front of a group. No, I'm just kidding.
exactly? Which area do you want to?
Yeah. I think everyone is different, because what could make you anxious or someone else anxious or limiting, I think is different for everybody. I find a lot of the social nowadays is a little bit scary for people, like, reaching out to people, or maybe asking for help in a certain area, even if you're starting a business. Like, people get caught up because what are they going to say? What if they say no? What if they think I'm dumb? There's all that. So I find sometimes just telling yourself, okay, at a certain time, I'm just going to open my calendar. Okay, at that time, I'm just going to pick up the phone, or I'm just going to email. Like, just do it. Don't sit there and think, am I going to like of doing this? Should I do this? Should I not? And just use it like if you're going to the dentist, right? You don't like it, you don't love it, but you need to go. You're just going to do it. Just take the one thing, break it down in a little thing, and just do it and see what happens. Really, what's the worst? Really, what's the worst?
Now I want to connect a little bit of
Yeah.
what we do in high performance, because when we in high performance we work in different things, and one
Yes.
of the topics that we work is courage. And it seems that what we are talking right now, it's about courage, like doing the things that maybe we don't have the courage right now, or maybe we have a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something that I love to talk. It's about, I don't know if you have heard about the map of consciousness from Dr. Hawkins.
I think it maybe, did you already talk about this on one? Yes, that's where I heard. Okay.
So in the map of consciousness, we can have fear, and that it's a frequency that we have. But the first frequency where you start to expand yourself and you can start to see a better version of yourself is courage. That's the first step, where then you can start to go to acceptance, to let it go, and all the other stuff. But courage for me is something that you do the things even with fear. And I'm talking about doing the things, taking action, not only, yeah, I am planning in my head that I am already doing it, but okay,
Do it.
do it. So, in regards of courage, maybe you can give us another example on that, how you manage to connect that fear to become an empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
courage.
Sure. Well, there's many. I have so many times. I mean, regularly, I think when you're an entrepreneur, there's so many times that you have to take the courage to take so many steps. If I take of one sort of recently more, so I left my corporate job, as I said, and they knew me as an insurance. It was in the insurance world, so they knew me as that, and it was very proficient, very good, and I think they really, I've always done very well. Now that I'm a coach and I'm doing some executive coaching, I wanted to reach out to them because for two reasons. One is I know their cultures already. I've lived it, I've been there, so I feel I could bring a lot to them. And I think my programs would be very helpful in some ways. But to reach out to a company that you've already worked for 15, 20 years, and they know you as this, and all of a sudden you're switching to something else, and now you're saying, I'm a coach, I can help, it takes a lot of letting go of what they're going to say, what they're going to think. It takes a lot of courage to actually just reach out to them, because just making that connection, it took me forever. Like, I just shied away. Not only did I shy away from it, I utilized all kinds of other reasons why not. There's other companies. I'll just reach out to someone else. I don't need to. Why would I do that? Like, I just, every week I put it on my list. Okay, I have to contact so and so. Then I changed my mind. Or then I contacted like someone that's sort of part of the company, but not anymore. Like, I did all these things instead of just facing it. And after, I'm going to say about a month, finally, I just wrote it down. Sent an email to, and I wrote the email right there. So that day, I had made a commitment to myself. No matter what, I am writing the email. Detach myself from it. No emotions, no nothing. I just wrote the email and I just let it go. And the next day, I got an email back. It wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't, oh, sure, come on in and start your program. But it was recognizing and acknowledging what I had started, and then asked more questions. So I don't know what's going to come out of it, but it felt so good to just jump that hurdle, because it's
Mm.
hard when you feel so that you can't do it. But once you do it, you just, and look, I'm here today, right? I'm here today to tell you about it. Nothing
And you're
happened, nothing
alive.
bad. And who knows what's going to come out of it. But if I would have done nothing, nothing would have come out of it. And I would have still felt insecure.
And that's when we are talking about courage, we start with some thing like, okay, remember a time, and that's a time, and then we start to find what are the steps that you did to have this courage. And some of the steps is, okay, the perfectionism started to stop you. Like, okay, you have to be the perfect coach before you start to reach them. You have to understand all the processes and how to help even better executives so you can help them. And at the end, in reality, they are waiting for you. So
Well, yeah, and you know what? Don't you like to work with people in any capacity that are still learners? Like, I don't like to go to a doctor that's, I don't know how old and has never taken another course or has never read any books. Like, I love to work with any kind of practitioner, anyone that I deal with. I love to know that they're still learning. I love to know that they still want to get better
yeah.
because, right, it just, you relate to them better.
So in that session also, like some of the examples that we start to give is the first thing that you want to start to work in the courage is to start to talk about even the things that you have really, like, you don't want anybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
There are some fears behind, because at the end those fears are having control over you, and when you start to take control back, that perfectionism is like, I don't want anybody to know about this thing that I have, that I do, that I don't want anybody else to know. And that's where you start to break free from those things. There is another thing that we do a lot, and it's defining what is success. So
Mm,
tell me, what is success for you?
mm. So that's changed a lot and evolved a lot in my life in the last 5 years, especially because when I realized is about 14-ish years ago, if you would have asked me 15 years before that, what I was living was what I had said was success. Great job, great marriage, 3 kids, seemingly healthy, like no big, huge issues. Um, they were busy. Financially, we were living well, we were traveling. So if you would have asked me like 30 years ago, I was living the success, what I claim was success 15 years ago, and then realized 15 to 12 years ago that I was not feeling fulfilled. So what I've explored and kind of with time have realized is just the wellness part of my life in all areas is so important to me.
Mm,
My success in all my relationships is so important to me. Things that I didn't think or maybe I took for granted before. So for me now, as successful is doing what I love, helping others design their life to live what they want to, and maintaining a really healthy relationship with the people that are important to me. And when I every day or every week, when I kind of do a check in, if I can check off those boxes, that to me is success.
and that is coming from a clarity session that we do, and it's like having clarity of who you are, what is your best version, what is my best version when I am connecting with Lynn and with everybody here today, and also what is success for me, because success is a very good word but doesn't mean anything if you don't start to define what is success for you.
Yes.
uh,
I did do one other thing, Alejandro, I think might be worth
Go
mentioning
ahead.
here that I think is helpful. When I turned 50, I went through a bit of a, oof, 50, it feels big. Um, and what I did was I interviewed 5 different women that when I looked at them, I thought they seem to have, when you see people and they seem to have what, not how they were, like, I don't want to be like them, but I just liked their energy. I liked the way that they kind of approached life. So I interviewed someone who was in their 50s, someone in their 60s, 70, 80, and 90. And I asked them to have a little, cup of tea or something for an hour or so. And I laid out some questions. There was questions I wanted to know from them. And it was so interesting because these women are all kind of different. They were all at different decades. But at the end of the day, when I pulled all their answers, and it's all the same thing. Like most of them, I would ask them, like, once you pass, after when your life is done, is there anything that you want your family or friends to continue, or do you want to leave something for them? They were all about, we could care. Like all of them were like, I could care less. they just like gave this impression that what you do here, what you leave to people, nothing is tangible. Nothing is, it's not about doing specific things. It's not about things. It's just the experiences that they shared with their loved ones. So that was a big one for me. Not one mentioned anything about like actual career. Not one. You know, they've had careers, but not one made that a big thing. So I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe like don't put so much emphasis on that, Lynn. And the other one was just about living who they wanted to be and always about learning. Every single one has then said how much growing and learning was the magic for them. So when I did that interview, it really gave me a different look at what success was, because it was completely different from what I really thought they were going to say. So that was very helpful for me, just to always look at others ahead of you, like always reaching out to people that are a little bit older than you, or maybe the next phase, just to see and to see what maybe you want to do the same or similar, or maybe you don't want to do like that. But just having that forward thinking, I find is very helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, and with that, when you connected with that idea, how you change also the thing that you are doing and the thing that you value more, you know?
A lot based on that. A family, there a lot of F's. I remember it was a lot of F's. Family, friends, faith, and fate were always things that kept coming up. So now I keep those in mind. I keep those in mind all the time.
And what I like with your story is that we continue talking about the perfectionism, but how you change it and evolve from yeah, I have to have everything perfect and I care about everybody opinions, to really understanding what is the most important thing for you. And when you connect with what is success for you, really perfectionism is not there. I didn't hear perfectionism. I want to be perfect. I don't want to hear any problem from anybody. It's like, no, that's not part of that. Is
And it hasn't completely disappeared. I don't want your listeners to think, oh, it miraculously
no,
I'm
I
not a
know.
perfectionist anymore, because what I have here is all the answers from these ladies that I wrote, and I had promised them that I would write a blog about it. That was 4 years ago. I'm so hooked on making this blog perfect for them, for people that might read it. And since then, one of them has passed. And now I'm like determined that I'm going to put this into a blog, because I promised I would. And it will not be perfect, but at least I'm going to get it out there, because I think there's a lot of value in this. But see, my perfectionism is getting in. It does creep it once in a while. And that's
Okay,
one of them.
and the good thing is that we are live here, and I don't know, we have maybe half a million of people listening. So, what do you want to commit with yourself?
Are they
When
going to
are you
come
going
back?
to launch that?
Honest to goodness, I promised myself I would have it written by September 1st. That is my goal. So anyone
Oh,
out there,
awesome.
you can check in with me on September 1st, and I will have it up there. But see, it still creeps up. Like, I think these things, they do, but look what it did. I've done nothing with it, you know, like it's paralyzing me. Like, why don't I at least start it? Or why don't I at least tell one story? Like, there's so many things I could have done, but I wanted it to be so perfect that it just
Yeah, no,
four
and I
years.
agree. I agree. At the end, there are areas that we start to work, and then there is others that are here below. And what we were saying at the beginning of the program, our kids is like, I didn't realize that I was trying helping them or trying to make them perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I have to to have the awareness, like, okay, look, you want them to wake at the same time, you want them to do the things as perfect as possible. If they are eating, they don't have to leave anything in the
Crumbs.
other. So it's like suddenly you are creating robots, and it's like, no, it's not a robot, it's a person that has to make mistakes and enjoy the mistakes, because that is going to be part of his life, you know.
Yes. Yes. Because think of all the things that you've done in your life, right? Like, imagine if you wouldn't have learned from some of the mistakes. Like, when we think back to our lives, even just falling down as a baby, if we didn't learn how to get up. I used to teach figure skating when I was a little bit younger. the first thing we would teach them is how to fall, because we want them to learn how to get up, right? Most people had their kids on the ice and they were like giving them things to hold on to, holding their hands, keeping them up. And we're like, no, 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 get down, fall. Look, nothing happened, you fell. But look, now you're going to learn how to get up. Like, had they not learned that, they wouldn't have known that it's okay to fall. And I always try to remember those things in our lives. Like, anytime you've made a mistake or you've screwed up something, think of things that you've learned. It's not always easy, but when you do go back, it can help.
So there is another thing that, like another way of seeing things that you are talking now, and it's about perspectives. Because if I have the perspective of everything has to be perfect, or I have the perspective of what others are going to say, and you are depending on that, suddenly you are blocked. And also, when we were talking about the map of consciousness, when I am talking about being on fear, that is a perspective. I have a fear on this area, and that's my perspective. But that doesn't mean that it's the reality. It's my perspective only.
Yes, that's very true.
So when you started to change to this, like, okay, I conquer my perfectionism, how do you feel that your perspective shift?
I think I go back to yoga. Like, when you're on a yoga mat, it's very, it can be very humbling, because you want to be able to do certain things. So you just have to, I've just learned to just try. Like, I have this thing, just try. You just have to change your whole perspective of achieving something. Like, for example, a pose, right? Like, if you see this cool pose and you're like, I want to do the pose. So we always say, don't put the power in the pose, because if you try to do that, chances are it's not going to turn well. Either you're going to hurt yourself, you may not achieve it, and you'll never do it again. Put the power in the person. And the power in the person means you just try. And then if you don't do it that well, you can try again, or you can try differently. So there's different ways to try things, is what I'm learning in life too. And I love this thing about, it's just a rep. Like, you do it once and then you do it again. Like, I'm sure with your show, I'm sure the first time hopefully you're going to tell me you were nervous the first time you did it. But I'm pretty sure that after 200-300, like, now you don't have those same things, right? So it's the same with changing the perspective, just in life in general. It's just reps. You just try it, and you might fall. You try it, it might go well. Try it, it might change it. Just try is what I'm trying to do, that I didn't do when I was growing up. It was more, like I said, good, bad, pass, fail, right, wrong. And that's really what I used to live by. I'm realizing that there's so much in between.
Yeah, not everything is black and white that, like, we want to create in our world. So
Yeah.
What is, so now that you have started to do it, when do you feel you have started to work, like the first step in your conquering the perfectionism? So why I'm asking that, because I want to see what are the things that you started to see to unlock your future after you did it.
The intention part, I think, is very important.
Exactly.
So I remember when I was starting this whole yoga coaching, and I wanted to create something that was connecting mind and body. And I had this great idea, and I still think it's a great idea, and it might come out eventually. But I wanted to put it out there. And I was talking to someone, and she said, I would never do that. That would scare me so much. And I said, what's scary about it? I'm going to put it out there. So the intention was, I told her, I'm putting it out there and see if someone is interested. She, in her head, heard, you're going to create this big program. There's going to be 400 people that are going to come. You're going to make a lot of money. And so we, once we started to think about that, I'm like, no, I'm just saying I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to put the page up. I'm going to send it out and see if there's anyone that's interested in doing this great program on mind-body alignment and doing something along those lines. And in her mind, that meant
400
completely different. Yeah. So it really stuck to me, because the intention. So if I say I want to write a blog, I didn't say this particular post. I'm not saying I'm going to write the most perfect post that 500,000 people are going to read and love. If I say that, I'm never going to write it. If I'm just making a commitment to you and all your listeners now, I'm going to write a blog at the best of my capabilities with the best notes that I took with the right intention. What's stopping me from trying that? Right? Like that. It makes such a big difference.
Yeah, and that's where you start to unlock everything, because if not, you are blocked in like, yeah, I am going to do it one day, and you
Yes.
wait for another 4 years.
Yes.
But
My mom is, I hope she's not listening either. She's not she doesn't love cooking, and she's never loved it, but she's okay at cooking. And when I was getting older and I wanted to kind of learn from her, she'd always make me set the table. And I used to think, set the table? Like what? She'd go, yeah, just go start setting the table. And I'd say, well, am I putting a bowl or a plate? She goes, plate. Well, am I putting this or that? And for her, that was her way of unlocking. She had no clue what she wanted to make for dinner. Now she tells me. She had no clue when I was asking her, like, what are we going to make? Can you help me? She didn't have an idea, and she was kind of blocked. But as we were preparing the table, she was like, okay, I have to make food. Okay, is it going to be a soup dish or a plate dish? It just made her think about the end result, the intention, and then she could like, okay, we're going to make, and it would just calm that down. And that stuck with me too, because that end intention does help a lot.
no, and I love
If you
that
think
because
about it.
it's something simple. It's not something like, yeah, to break you have to do something crazy. It's not. No, it's like start to put the plates in your table. Like, okay, you want to start a business and you are like not understanding where to start. Okay, you can start by buying. Okay, even when it's not the action, but you can start by buying a dominion. Like something
Yeah.
to start.
Or my favorite for starting business, like for potential entrepreneurs out there, or even entrepreneurs, start by talking to someone about it. Even if they're not your client, just by saying it, you're making it real, right? Just talk to someone about it. I'm doing this, not I'm thinking about, I'm doing this. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be just talking about it, just puts it in your brain as well. That has been helpful. I used to be the type that would just keep it all to myself until it was perfect, and then I would talk about it, or, once it was successful.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Just let it out. Just tell people about it.
And that works for everybody at the end, because even when you are in a corporate and you are growing, you can start to talk
Yes.
about like why you will like to have that job, or
Yes.
your boss's job, because you love this and this, and you are
That's
connected
right.
with this, and you love about this, and suddenly you are creating the possibilities, and you start to see that it's not that bad. It's
That's
not
right.
that
And you
complicated.
never know. Like someone could, have to leave quickly, and all of a sudden they go, oh, someone in so and so department had talked about maybe, like, if you don't put it out
Exactly.
there, no one will know.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's right. That's part of the perfectionism. I mean, like, I don't want to say anybody and anything to anybody, because they are going to steal
Here.
my idea. And it's like, oh,
Yes.
the idea
No,
is only an idea until somebody starts to make it happen, and that's
that's right.
you when you are talking about it. So yeah.
That's right. Yep.
So we are like in the last 7 minutes of the show. Uh,
Already?
it's incredible, but it has been very quick. Uh,
Are we turning to Spanish now, or
Oh, do you want to change that
no?
to Spanish? That's fine with me. Or do you
Oh,
want to start to sing? That's okay.
yeah, yes, that I could do. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
So we have been talking during the whole program a lot about growth and the essence of growth, and how that is connected with even the personal development, that you were like, oh, I want to have the personal development in my life, and that was something that I was missing when I left the corporate. What are you doing now to keep growing yourself, to keep growing with everything that you are doing? How do you do it?
Yeah. So, I always am a kind of a boring person because even on holidays, like I was so looking forward to have that. We drove here and it was like 10 hours and then 8 hours, and I couldn't. My husband did most of the driving, so I couldn't wait to be able to like go, and I had these courses that I had on my computer that I couldn't wait to get to. So I do that. I do a lot of courses. I do a lot of reading. This is my summer reading. I just love it. Every year I do it at least once, and this will be another one. I do have a very, and I know it sounds very cliche, but I do have a very strict morning routine that I follow, and 20 minutes of that is always about learning. So either I read a book or I listen to a podcast. And monthly, I always try to find something to just expand my mind in any kind of way. And it's not easy to always prioritize that, but I find if I don't do it, I feel myself not feeling as confident
Mm,
or as true to
mm,
myself.
mm.
So, reading, podcast, lots of journaling, lots and lots of journaling.
And okay, give us some ideas. So, what are the books that you recommend now from what you have read this year?
Okay, well, I just showed you this one, so
Yeah, I
you can
love that
see
one.
it. Yeah. I actually got the one that you had suggested on the, oh, I forget the title, but emotions, the power of emotions, maybe.
Yeah,
And I read a book just recently that was recommended to me. It's an old book, but you know, sometimes those old ones are goodies. And it's called, oh, I want to say it's The Leap. It's a very simple book. It's a quick read, but it's all about this. It's about the beliefs and the unleashing that and how we create our limits before even trying. Like I highly recommend it because it's a fun book. It's like all story based, but it's all about that. So I would recommend that one. It's a short little read. And I'm actually audiobook listening to another oldie, Dale Carnegie on worrying, and I love that one because I have one of my daughters is very, very anxious, and it's been very helpful to me to listen to little tricks, and it's got very tangible things to do when you worry too much.
awesome. So, how people can connect with you, know more about what you are doing?
Well, I'm not going to tell you now because they're all going to be looking for this blog post.
Exactly. Tell me, please. I want them to be writing to you.
I do have some other posts that maybe they'll be interested in. So my website is lessonswithlynn.com. My handle is also at lessonswithlynn.com. And the reason it's Lessons with Lynn is because I've got my yoga on there and I have my coaching. So I feel like it's all lessons. So on Instagram, Facebook, and website is probably the best way. Email is lynn at lessonswithlynn.com as well.
Awesome. So, Lynn, really the connection and everything. I love your energy, like even your passion to talk about things and the wisdom, the simplicity, like everything. I really love the time being with you today. If
Ditto, Alejandro. I love speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, if you want to say like maybe a last phrase or a last thing that you want to people to remember, okay, this is the thing that I want you to remember about this program. What is it?
Oh, you didn't tell me about that. Now I have to not be perfect. Um, what I'd love to leave anyone with is, well, I think it's what I said is just try it. Just try it. Like it's so simple. Just try it. Whatever it is, just try it. What's the worst that can happen? My daughters always tease me about that. I always say, what's the worst that can happen?
Awesome. So,
Really.
really, thank you, Lynn, and thank you everyone that was here with us today. I really enjoy everything, and I believe we talk about a lot of beliefs during the process in
Yes.
a very easy way, and that's exactly what I love about this program. So, thank you, Lynn, again. It was awesome.
Thank you. Next year I'll come on the Spanish side.
Oh, awesome. Okay, you have to think
Two
now.
things now.
That is amazing. So, everyone, this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Networks. Please check out the SpanglishWorld.ca for all the news and programming. The Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you all.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Bye-bye.